Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is The Simpsons Index, episode 248. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, and joining me here as always, except when he's not, is BT Carrot. Fuck. What's your name again?
I love that
BT
there was
Carrot.
like 256 or whatever you said, and then, yeah. No,
you're BT Calloway. How you doing?
Calloway is fine. I like many aliases, as you know.
All right, well, while we're doing a fantastic job of intros, we're welcoming...
Yeah, can you handle it?
We're welcoming a first-time guest into the podcast. It's Chelsea Lanzarin.
Hello everyone.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the Simpsons Index.
Thank you so much. I'm super keen.
No, super keen to have you here. And yes, for first-time listeners, this is a podcast where we review Simpsons, like this episode. But first, we like to talk to our guests about the Simpsons, because that's fun to hear about. And for anyone who's been catching the streams that I've been doing every week over at twitch.tv/treadedgm.
Yeah, for the people who listen to the plugs at the end of the episode and think, I'm going to go check out those plugs, thank you, first of all. And second of all, this is going to be a voice you recognize.
Yes.
So yeah, Chelsea, tell people what we're doing over there.
So we are playing a Call of Cthulhu game on the Dreaded GM Twitch channel. We're playing through Horror on the Orient Express. So yeah, me and Elliot are over there playing together. That's how I met Elliot, and I was invited onto this beautiful podcast, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of it because yeah, Simpsons, a big part of my life, I would say. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, every week on the channel, you're often wearing your Homer pajama pants.
Yeah, okay. Well, I do wear my pajamas to do all the streaming stuff. Up from the top half up, I look professional, but always there's Homer Simpson pajamas on the bottom half.
That's it. It's the clothing equivalent of a mullet, you know. It's bedtime and comfort.
A streamer that wears pants at all is pretty rare, let alone
Simpsons.
So.
I'm a high-class streamer, so...
I think that's the one thing we got from the whole Zoom era and the pandemic and whatever. It's, business up top. Let's just get comfortable down there. You're also, you're a tattoo artist based out of Adelaide, and you've got a pretty great Instagram channel as well. Tell people about that.
It's at Tattoos by Chelsea on Instagram, but I also exist on Twitch and TikTok. But yeah, I'm a hand-poked tattoo artist based out of Adelaide. I specialize in fantasy, medieval inspired imagery. I do a lot of woodcut and etching style tattoos. So if you're into that, yeah, please, I would very much appreciate you checking it out.
But also, you glossed fastly over the hand-poked element of it.
Yes, I'm a hand-poked tattoo artist, so...
I don't know what that means.
You don't use none of those guns or anything.
Wait, what?
None of that fancy machine
You just
shit.
stab motherfuckers?
Yeah, I guess a more colloquial term is stick and poke tattooing, but I feel like that has not a negative connotation, but a more party basement tattoo kind of association with it. So basically my studio is completely machine free. We don't use any electricity besides lights to put tattoos into skin, and yeah, we can still get some pretty intricate and impressive results out of just hand poking, and yeah, I really like that niche about it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm currently on this Insta, and yeah, she ain't lying. This is dope. That
Thank you so much.
knight's helm with the smoke coming out of it. That's
thank you.
You might even see previous guest Sean's tattoo on there as well. That was a really
I have
excellent
tattooed
piece.
Sean, and I've tattooed Ellen from
Adelaide
Rolled
connection.
Cast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I know. So when you guys are around, I have to stab you.
Absolutely.
That is a good Majora's Mask. Anyway, I'm going to get off Insta.
Well, actually, yeah. So yeah, you can go to the Instagram Tattoos by Chels, check out all that. But I haven't noticed when I was scrolling. Have you ever done a Simpsons tattoo?
Have I ever done a Simpsons tattoo? I'm just thinking. I don't think I have, sadly, but maybe I should. I have a Simpsons tattoo.
Oh?
It's Lisa. Well, we're on webcam right now, but I'll describe it with my voice. But it's Lisa Simpson, and she's sucking on a juice box.
Hell yeah.
Just chilling.
Yeah, but that's my only Simpsons tattoo. Do you guys have tattoos? And if you do, I know you have a Simpsons tattoo. Do you, Elliot?
Yeah. I've got "You're making a mistake," the sign that Lenny holds up when they're releasing Sideshow Bob for like the 8th time or whatever. The funny thing about it though is because, yeah, as you know, Chelsea, I've got it I've got my tattoos are mostly down near my feet, and feet tattoos, the ink tends to run over a few years, so it's just slowly turning into this black blob, which is even funnier because I truly was making a mistake putting it there.
Look, it would either get funnier or more relevant with time. So
exactly.
Win, freaking win.
Well,
what about you, BT? Any Simpsons tats?
No,
or
I am
tats at
boring
all?
and clean. I am
virgin skin.
unpierced and uninked. Yeah.
Like a loser.
Yeah, like some kind of dweeb.
That's right. You never even had a piercing. Yeah.
No.
We're taking you down. We're getting your eyebrow done.
Okay.
Very cool.
But yeah, bringing it back to The Simpsons as well, before we hook into the episode review, Chelsea, we like to ask our first-time guests, what is your Simpsons history? Where did the show begin with you?
So I would say my household, like growing up with my family, on the spectrum of not knowing what The Simpsons is to like fanatic, I reckon we're maybe in between the middle and fanatic. Like, we loved The Simpsons. And so I even remember the first episode of The Simpsons I ever watched.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why this is in my memory, but it was Treehouse of Horror 5, I think. It's the Shining episode.
Oh, yeah.
That was the
Shinnin.
first... The Shinnin. I'm
sued?
sorry. I want to get sued.
You want to get sued?
She's on for 10 minutes and we're on a lawsuit.
But yeah, I just remember watching that episode as a kid and like crying, laughing. And I think... Not to jump the gun on this review, but to me, The Simpsons is like a super nostalgic thing. And watching this episode, it has this like uncanny valley whenever I like fast forward and like see The Simpsons in a more current day setting. So yeah, me and my family, huge fans. I remember having a massive watch party at my uncle's house when The Simpsons switched to widescreen. We like sat down and watched the new intro together. We made a massive deal out of the Simpsons movie, like a lot of memorabilia. My uncle is a big fan, so I think maybe I just got it off of him. But yeah, I think like most Aussie families in particular, like Channel 10. I was lucky enough to have Foxtel growing up, so Fox 8 would just like play The Simpsons for literally 10 hours straight, and I would just sit down and watch it.
Oh,
But
Super
yeah.
Simpsons weekend. That was awesome.
That
times.
was my childhood.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's been nice. Only maybe a couple years ago, I went back and I was like, I'm gonna, watch The Simpsons chronologically, and I probably watched maybe like 10 or 12 seasons before I ran out of steam. But even rewatching them through like, a grown-up set of eyes, like it just made me fall in love with it all over again, and I just got to pick up on everything I missed as a kid, and yeah.
No, it's always great when that happens and you rediscover things and it's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I get this now.
Yep.
But on the flip side of that, where did the show end with you? Have you kept up with newer episodes other than the one I made you watch?
Yeah. I think sometimes I'll go and watch. I'm a part of this. I'm not sure exactly what the community is, but it's like a Reddit forum of like golden, like hidden gem episodes of The Simpsons. So sometimes when like an episode gets flagged, I'll go back and I will watch like an episode that people are talking about and has that like classic Simpsons kind of gleam to it. But yeah, I can't even pinpoint where The Simpsons really ended for me. It's not that it had ever ended. It's just, not that necessarily The Simpsons is bad now. It's just maybe not in its golden era. It's not pumping out classics like it used to.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoy to watch the newer episodes. But I think when I go back and I'm like, I want to watch The Simpsons, I definitely watch like pre-season 15. I don't often want to go and watch newer episodes, which is sad. And now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be thinking that way about it. But
yeah, well,
alas, I do.
Well, I mean, there are some hidden gems, and you know what? Getting ahead of the review, I say this maybe is one of them for me. But let's hook into it.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't going to spoil anything by going, really? Are you?
Yeah. I didn't. Okay, let's
Feel like,
discuss.
yes, we're gonna have some discourse.
All right, well, let me set this up first. This was Season 34, Episode 12, My Life as a Vlog. First released in January of 2023, it was directed by Debbie Mann, written by Jessica Conrad, one of the very few times The Simpsons will have a director-writer all-female combo. In this episode, The Simpsons have a successful YouTube channel, and this episode is sort of presented over a unknown person sort of going through a series of YouTube videos based around The Simpsons, and they're learning the story, and it turns out it's George R.R. Martin. But yeah, the episode is less about him and more about, The Simpsons' rise and fall as a popular YouTube channel. Hey, what do we think?
Yeah, family vloggers. It's not that I really disliked it. It's just, I think sometimes when The Simpsons do this kind of format of episode, I don't tend to love it. Like, it felt like a Tosh.0 episode or something. I don't know if that's a niche reference, but
look, it's fair enough, because the second this came up and I saw the title, vlogging, I'm like, okay, how 2013.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with this one is that, it is very off The Simpsons' normal episode format in that it's presented as a series of YouTube videos. So they're really going for a format change. And you're talking about that uncanny valley before. Yeah, if you haven't watched Simpsons in a while and then you...
this is a shock to the system.
It's sometimes weird enough saying Bart with an iPhone, let alone that, Simpsons have internet, they have vlogs. And
I mean, that said, I do... Sometimes the format shift works. Behind the Laughter is a big format shift, and I think that has a lot of DNA similar to this. Yeah, it's just that one has jokes.
I'll give it that. It's not the funniest episode.
I don't mind a lot of social commentary and stuff in a Simpsons episode. I kind of expect it. It's just that I think I need to feel more connected to the plot or the story that the family go through. I would have probably loved that episode if it was more like the Simpsons as a unit getting lucky with a viral video and then seeing them escalate up from that rather than from the get-go being from the get-go it felt so disjointed because Homer and Marge are in this persona of rich family vlogger parents, and I was like, that's not Marge, that's not Homer. I don't want...
What is happening? Yeah.
The only time I excuse that is a Treehouse of Horror vibe or a very obvious parody vibe. Yeah, it was just odd. It just felt odd. But once I settled into it, I wasn't hating it, but...
Yeah, well, because you bring up a good point with how they tell the story in this one, because, all these events have already happened. It's just someone's going back and watching the old documentaries and old YouTube footage. And personally, I'm going to say, by the way, Chelsea, we format this podcast with a questionnaire. So starting out, for better or worse, moment that stands out to me, and I'm just going to say the format of this one, I think... Despite it feeling really weird to have The Simpsons so ingrained in technology like this, I like the format and the things that they were doing in terms of, telling the story via the YouTube videos. And I felt like the writer did their research on this one, and they were really aware of YouTube culture and the different kinds of videos and channels and stuff that exist.
That made me, I think, as somebody as chronically online as myself, I am a sucker for YouTube drama, YouTube discourse. I spend a lot of my time on YouTube, and I know a lot about different internet personalities. It was bang on. I really, really enjoyed it. And I talked about nostalgia and stuff, I was like, oh, maybe this is what it felt like to be an adult in the early 2000s watching The Simpsons. I was 10 years old. The way I viewed The Simpsons was different. And then going back and watching The Simpsons, I'm like, okay, I can get how this is of the time. But for it to be so present, the references to Hot Ones, the references to the Joe Rogan podcast, it felt I was like, whoa. But also, I've never had that kind of relationship or experience with The Simpsons before. So I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, often we criticize the show that it just feels like old white guy writing who just barely understands some of these cultural things.
More like a show that's about, this is a thing, but it's not about that thing. It's just referring to it. Whereas, I felt this was a little more entrenched in what it was actually talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when I say I didn't love it, I think the format or the retrospective looking at the story is what I didn't love a lot. But I thought that it didn't feel like a miss, and it didn't feel uneducated in what it was trying to portray. It was, very on the nose.
No, because I will agree. I think the story's kind of weak, and Peter, you mentioned before, the jokes are pretty non-existent. But having said that, I think, the best thing that this episode's got going for it is the format, and even just sort of small details like, the episode didn't open with The Simpsons, was just straight into someone's computer. And then, the opening credits, instead of the, chyrons on the bottom, were done as, little notifications.
Little notifications. I did like that.
Yeah. That was a decent touch.
Well, that was going to be what stood out for me, for better or worse, was the credits as post notifications. So I guess I'm going to have to just spin my wheels and find a different one now.
Well, let me ask Chelsea then. Do you have a moment or anything from this episode that stood out to you for better or worse?
There is one. I feel bad. I'm being such a negative Nelly about this, but
no, that's okay.
Towards the end of the episode, like, you know, they're in the panic room or whatever, even though I thought that was a funny gimmick, that feels like a very Simpsons Homer thing to happen. But there's like comments of like Lisa and Bart being like, oh my God, I've gone like hours without a like, and like speaking like that. And that just felt very like Gen X / boomer coded for me. Like, I was like, okay, like, I don't know if it's just because I'm 25, I'm Gen Z. Like, I was like, oh my God, am I offended because I'm Gen Z? But I was kind of like, all right, just step off. Like, we're not like that. But I get it. It's funny. But I don't know what it was about those kind of jokes that just made me roll my eyes a little bit. Like, it felt like a bit.
It's just the laziest, most boring thing
it's lazy.
To do. It's like, oh, you know, these kids can't go a day without a like. It's like, no, you fucker. God
but I have a few quotes written down that, like, kind of made me chuckle. Because I feel like what I love about The Simpsons is just, like, throwaway one-liners that just make me laugh. Like, it brings up an idea that's funny or silly. But when the seal is, like, trying to get away and the guy's like, no, like, that's a rented seal. Like, we're going to lose our deposit. That, like, actually made me laugh out loud. But that was my favorite little quip of the episode. But yeah, what about you guys?
Because at that moment, I was too busy groaning in agony. Why? We'll find out soon. Stay tuned to the Simpsons Index.
BT, what stands out to you for better or worse?
What stood out for me, Becca, Maggie dancing as a duck is super cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Like the whole, because you find out, you know, okay, the Simpsons are huge internet celebrities. How did this get started? And you start with the first one where Maggie's at a dance recital and she's dancing as a duck for some reason, and she's nervous. So Homer is like, no, taking her through the steps and all the nicknames they gave each move, and it's very super cute and very sweet from Homer. Like,
I was going to say also like the Maggie Homer relationship and dynamic that you see throughout the whole show, or at least what I remember of it, like that's one of my favorite relationships. So I was like, oh, Maggie Homer time,
which
like so
has
sweet.
Some difficult moments in this, but we'll get to that. But no, that initial, you know, first of all, Homer's just being really nice and doing something genuine and catches her when she falls off stage, and it was just very cute. So in the absence of my first, what stood out to me for better or worse, that is my second.
Well, I mean, I think that is a good instigating viral video for them to then build a little empire off. And I actually like that story thread that, Homer gradually forgets about the daughter and, like, him being nice in this moment and, becoming all about them fucking clicks and subscribers and sponsorship deals and all that.
The things that we don't have.
But just in terms of format as well, I thought it was pretty clever how, like, because, this, unknown person that turns out to be George R.R. Martin that's looking at all these videos, like, I like how all the channels and stuff were pretty well catered to the characters that they had them around. Like, of course, Comic Book Guy would have, like, a recap fucking thing. And, Martin Prince would do, like a Channel 6 News-esque kid news reporter and everything. And then, Chelsea alluded to the Joe Rogan Experience parody before, so Lenny and Carl have their own podcast and they do the live videos of it. And I just loved the little detail that when it switched to that, the audio quality changed immediately.
Oh, really? I didn't notice.
I did, because, especially Lenny's mic is not as good as Carl's, and I'm assuming this is a reference.
Oh, and they're constantly adjusting their mics while they're talking like this. Just doing that for emphasis. Sorry, listener.
Shout out to Danny.
Because that bugs me so much as a podcast editor, because it's like, no, adjust the mic when you're not talking. I can take out those sounds when you're not talking. I can't remove that when there's vocals going
This is what being a professional is like, Joe.
We know you're listening, Joe.
So I know some podcast editor who's also a writer on the staff really wanted to get that in, and I'm like, well done. No, that was good. It's funny, just bouncing back on your idea of extending the characters through their online presence. It's like, it is a really clever way to do it and bring it into the show, because the show is a reflection on how things are going in the real world, and everyone does have like this weird extended version of themselves online. So it's kind of nice to see how that tiptoes into, like, the only other time I can think off the top of my head where I've seen The Simpsons online is like Mr. X. Like, that's the only other like Simpsons internet thing. So this was
I don't know, seeing Homer use the internet in a more complex way.
It's an interesting soiree into the world of internet culture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think I'm just, especially with the newer episodes where they incorporate online stuff and talk, stories where the internet's a huge part of it, it feels a lot of those times that, they don't know what they're talking about. Whereas this one, just feels a lot more considered and a lot more thoughtful. And
kudos to writers there,
and respectful of the characters. And I think that's going to carry me through on this one a lot. But, on the Simpsons Index, we like to talk about, the two big pillars of The Simpsons, because classic Simpsons would have an excellent balance of, wacky cartoon shit and also, nice heartfelt story moments. So we like to talk about this. So starting off, how was the wackiness in this episode? How did they use the cartoony space here?
I've only got one real note for wacky, and that's hat toilets. So after they get trapped in the panic room for 9 days, there's a bit where just Homer goes, fortunately we're in here with a bunch of hat toilets, and Marge's just like, yeah, those were just hats.
Those were just hats.
Okay, that got me.
Yeah, I liked the Opal interview at the end. I thought that was a great way to, do the episode summary in a way that feels, very common,
There was something to that, it felt like getting too big. Like, that's kind of maybe a bit of an issue with this, is the sense of, they're too famous at this point to, surely there have been millions at this. If you have 6 family channels running, and they all have sponsorships and they're all getting plenty of views, you're probably making bank.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did actually, speaking of wackiness, I liked Bart's mini story in this one as well, how he starts up a yogurt pranking channel.
Gert Squad.
You go.
I love that one of the kids refers to it as a mean-spirited waste of yogurt. That made me giggle a little bit. But that's probably the only other wacky part of it I can think of.
Yeah, but I liked that as well, where it's like, oh yeah, those aren't his real friends. Those are just hired spucklers, And
but there's a kind of almost dropped, well, not even plot thread, more like mood thread, where it's got a whole video of him trying to get the Spuckler kids to hang out with him after they film the video, and he's even to the point of I'll pay you to be my friends for a few hours. But Bart being lonely isn't the point of this, and so it's kind of a pointless thread that's just kind of there. Showing the point of that little scene was to show that it's all fake, and even his radical prankster friends are just, spucklers. But,
I even took it as Bart is a character who, I know he has his lows and he is a complex character with deep feelings, but not that he's popular, but he's, he has Milhouse, he has other friends at school.
Yeah, he'll get beat up, it'll get a reason.
Yeah, but more that so that his fame, was changing him as a person. And we even see that with Lisa, where she's, intentionally trashing the beach, which I thought felt very
colossal integrity break, yes.
Yeah, it's huge for Lisa. It just didn't feel very believable, or I know it's The Simpsons, but it just felt odd. I don't like seeing Lisa do that. I think Lisa's a special character to me, so.
Well, I mean, I think that is actually kind of the problem with the format here, that it does so much setting up of these various vlogs and other channels and other characters' online personas that it does get in the way of the story a bit, and you do have to rush it.
Time with any particular character to warm to them or get a sense of arc or struggle for them.
I think it would have been a much stronger episode to just choose one person to focus on. I would love to see, a classic Lisa thing where she gets to that point and then has her oh my God, what am I doing? Realizing moment, and that would have been, I don't know.
Similar for Bart, it's just squirting people with yogurt is not his usual prank. So if it had started off with he was doing his, pranks that were catered to the people he was targeting, but then no one online gets that because they don't understand why this person doesn't like this thing you're doing.
Yeah.
And so he just finds out doing the dumbest, simplest thing gets him the most views. There's a moment for him to be I've given up what I liked for the popularity.
Yeah.
And I think... Yeah, sorry, you keep trying to talk, Elliot, and I keep talking over you.
That's all right. No, I was just going to say, it is kind of even though I liked the panic room bit, it is kind of the problem where they more focused in on, their withdrawals rather than actually them having, individual character revelations of the people they've become. It is nice that they've started talking again as a family, and, I didn't even... I actually kind of liked Bart's line. Yeah, it's like texting, but with our mouths.
That was... Yeah.
I got a laugh
silly,
at that as
but,
well. No, so I just realised we're about to talk heart, which is the next thing you were about to say.
How was the heart in this episode? Did we feel there's little bumps?
I mean, I mentioned Homer being nice with Maggie, and that was cute. There's kind of an anti-heart moment, though, where Homer signs an agreement to have Maggie be playing with like their version of Minions. I forget what, but he's like, but Maggie
Nom Noms.
Nom Noms. Yeah. I'm gonna call them Minions because whatever. He's like, well, actually Maggie hates Minions. Like, well, that's hashtag relatable. I can talk youth. And then goes into like her POV where she's just getting bombarded with them. You can hear her crying, and it's like, this is actually mildly upsetting, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I like that, but like again, they tied it within the format of the episode. That was. Yeah, first-person perspective, but it was because he put a GoPro on her head. Yeah,
that's fine. It was just to that not then be the point, although we never really... He does, like, right at the end, when he thinks she's stuck in the vent, say, if you come out, I'll never make content of you again. But that's a very little, way back after going so far out.
Yeah, it just makes me like want for those moments in The Simpsons where it ends with like a beautiful melodic version of The Simpsons theme and everyone's like walking off into the sunset. That's what I was expecting the end to be, but I got Oprah instead. So.
Hey, there's a few seconds left. Let's hug him again.
Also, Oprah feels super dated for this episode, doesn't it? Like, is Oprah a thing still?
I feel like Oprah's evergreen to some degree.
Yeah, she wheels herself out if she can, like, get a Harry or Meghan on interview or something like that.
I'm so sorry. I'm just,
No, I wouldn't be tuned into the fucking royal situation if my family didn't give so much of a shit.
Why do your family give so much of a shit?
I don't know.
Can I ask them? Can we get them on a podcast? I'll ask. Get him on a Hot Wise episode.
Yeah, I liked that parody as well, where March was her version of Hot Ones is
Sean Evans.
Deep
fried thoughts.
And poor Krusty having a mild heart attack while he tries to choke down a deep fried tuna melt with funnel cake batter.
Oof, jeez.
It's deep fried in mayonnaise.
Oh.
Would not be on my sandwich, foreshadowing.
Yeah, can't wait to see Binging with Babish try and do that one.
Oh, God. But I do like his line of like, my manager said I had to do this. Apparently this is what talk shows are now. I'm like, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I love watching Hot Ones just to see the celebrities just mildly go, oh, what has my life become?
Well, yeah, you can't just sit down and, watch a conversation. There has to be like layers of content to keep people engaged. So, yeah, true.
Yeah, exactly.
Got a giggle out of me.
Yeah, it's either eating spicy fucking chicken wings with Sean What's-His-Name or smoking J's with Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. But I agree. And I think, we sort of covered it. Yeah, the heart is... it's almost there. It feels like it has ideas.
Yeah, again, I think it's something of a victim of the format, not just, doing the screen life kind of method, but also we're not even like in media res in this. We're not in the middle of events as they're unfolding. They've already happened. So there's no real suspense there. The closest they get is towards the end where they're like, the Simpsons have gone missing and we think we found their house. But there's not a sense that is like even a live stream. It's just, and this is how this concluded. It's like, well, it's already over by the time we get there. And there's nothing really pushing any kind of story engagement at that point. It's like, find them. It's fine.
I think a lot of the heart relies on what you already know about the characters. Like, well, you have to know that the family do really care about each other, and it's like odd to see them act in this way. And like the Lisa bit or the Bart bit wouldn't be as funny for somebody who this was the first episode they were watching of The Simpsons. Like this is for people who know a lot, which is most people, about the general tropes of The Simpsons.
No, that's it. That's a very good point that, you're understanding who are all these people that we're jumping to various blogs of.
Yeah.
It does require the pre-knowledge. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and there's the weird, because there's the balance of, yes, this show's been on for 34 years, but I mean, at the same time, you kind of still have to establish who people are to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it works despite that, but ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yeah.
No. I just
got a big Lisa integrity break.
Yeah. Format, I know we keep coming back to that, but it was the most, notable part of the episode. Like, definitely not. It's very... Yeah. I know The Simpsons do this sometimes, but it is not usually so fourth wall breaky. Not fourth, like... fourth wall break within its own universe. Is that like
Yeah.
a thing? I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
given the format, maybe webcam breaking or something. I don't know.
yeah, shaky. It was like camcorder Simpsons style, but
Tetrahedron.
I would say
breaking,
like 50% feels like a Simpsons episode. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're bringing up the having to know the characters beforehand is that, yeah, like the Simpsons family themselves, I'd say, yeah, don't feel like themselves in this episode. And you're like, well, you can make the argument that's what the internet has done for them and done to them, rather. Like, but yeah, we haven't seen them set up as themselves yet. So we're going straight into they're changed, they're rich and spoiled now and all that.
Yeah, and we know something's going to be up with it. I think that's ultimately the problem. And what I would change about this episode, just to skip ahead for like the fifth time, is this. Well, I want to watch these events happening as they happen, not all in retrospect.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Because then it feels like there's stakes, or we get to actually follow someone's path a bit more, because each individual one had interesting ideas, but we don't get to spend any time with each one because there's not enough time, and it's about the whole family's arc, not one person.
Yeah, I felt like often, 2 points I want to make. Often when I watch The Simpsons, something I really love about The Simpsons is it feels like, you know, over the half an hour period that you watch it, or the 20 minutes of the episode, it starts out at as one thing and it ends as something very different, but it's also smoothly this one like beautiful plot thread and that's something I really love about The Simpsons and the writing style. This, it never changed. It was the same thing the whole way through. I felt like I was watching a compilation of jokes almost. But it could have started as, you know, the family getting ready for Maggie's recital, and then it turns into this big, you know, YouTube thing by the end of it. And that would have been a very Simpsons episode, but it wasn't that. So, yeah. Yeah,
because taking like the broad strokes of this, they go from Homer doing something nice for his daughter to becoming megastars to, you know, basically selling themselves out. That is an arc, but because it doesn't happen in front of us, it feels like it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and it could have even been from Maggie's perspective. Sorry, I'm like rewriting this whole episode, but like, you know, Maggie is feeling excited that everyone's coming out to and supporting her, and then she's like slowly forgotten through the internet. There's just so many very Simpson things to happen.
No, I like that because it starts off being Homer starts making more videos of him and Maggie, and then everything spirals out from there. So there is, again, the core of this episode, his relationship with Maggie, that gets lost along the way. We just improved the episode. Nice job, team.
Yeah.
Everyone go get a Kit Kat.
Well, I mean, yeah, just to round out, though, what would I change? Yeah, remove the George R.R. Martin thing at the end. It did nothing.
That was odd. That was really weird.
Just why, like, oh, he hasn't released the book, but like the episode also mentions they made 2 shows about it, and like for me, that's like, yeah, how about you guys also get over it? Like, it just feels like a stale point and
super stale. That's the other thing. I was like, this feels super dated right now as well. And then the weird like drag queen bit at the end, I was like, I get it, I guess, but like,
oh yeah, because he's looking up dragons, but
dragon ideas, and then I don't know. It just felt like more. What's on the internet right now?
Yeah. But yeah, we'll get 2 of our guest stars from this section here. We got Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange playing themselves.
Really, Bob the Drag Queen.
Bob the Drag Queen.
Bob the Drag Queen, not to go on a tangent, but I'm pretty sure he was on he was a part of a Critical Role, I don't know, like thing. Like campaign.
You're talking to the right person over there.
Well, I mean, I'm not up to date on CR.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bob the Drag Queen's a huge D&D fan.
Yeah, wow.
Look, it's just interesting for the name. It's not very fabulous, and I'm confused. You know,
that's the bit.
Yeah, I know, that's what I say. You know, in Seinfeld, where it's like Eric the Clown.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's good SEO. Like, I doubt any other drag queen who's, you know, trying to come up with a really witty and fabulous pun.
Yeah,
you know.
And they've probably all been taken. They're like, come on, just Bob.
I could have
Speaking
just been
of
Bob.
like guest stars, were there any like internet faces or individuals that you were expecting to see like a parody of and didn't see?
No, I feel like Bart is like they're trying to do a little bit of a Mr. Beast thing at one point when he mentions
like Logan Paul vibes.
Yeah, or just when he had this line where he was like mentioning his projects and he said, yeah, giving Lamborghinis to the homeless. Yeah. Like, I'm like, yeah, that reeks of like a Mr. Beast fucking thing.
I was going to say I was expecting a way more in your face Mr. Beast thing. Like as soon as Sean Evans and Joe Rogan, I was like, okay,
Look,
Mr. Beast.
if you're not the hydraulic press channel, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That used to be part of our outro. I used to steal the voice clip of him going, and now for our bonus content. They made a reference, again, this might be a little bit dated now, but the Leave Britney Alone girl.
This was dated because the fact that
that's like early 2000s.
Yeah, the fact that my notes began with like, you're vlogging how 2013, and I looked it up and it did say 2011. I'm like, I'm sure that was way earlier.
That feels
than
way
that.
earlier.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So I must have looked it up bad.
Like, surely The Simpsons have already made a joke about that.
You'd
surely.
think so, but
the other weird thing is it's Wegman that's Mike Rappaport.
Yeah,
that one episode where he's like a massive fan of Homer for some reason. It's a really weird episode, and to bring him back is also very weird.
Yeah, in that episode, which, that season 31 classic that everyone will remember and be like, oh, it's that character coming back again. But yeah, he's just someone who works at the nuclear plant and becomes obsessed with Homer.
Right, okay.
So, a very odd thing to drop in here. Yeah, both a dated reference and then reintroducing a character that I guarantee no one's going to fucking remember.
Yeah.
Like, even if you are staying up to date.
Yeah, except for podcasters like us.
Yeah, that's it.
Even then, we got more mileage making jokes about the actor's name, Mike Rappaport. I still distinctly remember, like, he needs to have a show where he reviews microphones, rap music, and port, and call it the Mike Rap Report.
That's great.
Free idea for you there, Mike. But yes or no, would you
I
watch
didn't say it was free.
Oh, paid idea, apparently. Anyway, yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
No, I wouldn't.
Only for like a study. If I'm looking at The Simpsons as they reflect through technology over the years, if I'm doing something academic, then yes. But for fun, no.
Simpson Scholar BT.
Actually, I would like to change my answer. I would skim through this episode again because I would love to sit and like read all of the extra videos that weren't clicked on and things like that. I was trying to do it as I was watching it, but I think there's a lot of more hidden jokes that maybe could be potentially funny.
Yeah, that's a solid point. As note-taking for reviewing for this podcast, I could only have time and mental space to do the things that happened. Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of buried material there.
Yes, so I'd be interested in maybe not sitting down and watching it all again, but
Easter egg hunting,
Easter egg hunting, yeah.
All right, well, that brings us here. It's time for our final notes.
Now it's time for our final notes. Everyone's final notes. Suddenly it's a musical out of nowhere.
Chelsea, do you have any other bits from this episode you want to mention before we move on to the rankings?
Yes, I want to, special shout out. I always love me some Bouvier twins cringe-inducing moments. So the ASMR segment really got a kick out of me. I thought it was very them, very something weird and strange that they would do.
That was definitely one of my up arrows as well. I got a good chuckle. Just things like scraping the leg hair with like a credit card.
Scraping jub.
Yeah.
But, I mean, also talking about, what internet projects, would you cater to the people in Springfield. I thought this was perfect. Yeah, they have great ASMR voices and that sort of crackly tone to their voice. That would so play well with the ASMR.
It's just like something just niche enough and uncomfortable enough for most people that just screams them. So
yeah, and while also being kind of uncomfortable like ASMR is. So
I like that. Thought it was good.
Yep. Was that all your notes?
That's the last one. Everything else on my notes has been touched. So
there we go. BT, can we touch some of your notes?
I'm not when you say it like that. You can't.
With enthusiastic consent, yes, please.
Early joke I did like where Homer's like, "Oh, we've got one of those fridges that's hidden in the wall. No more tedious seeing your refrigerator."
That's a good Homer line.
Yeah, and then because actually that's one thing we didn't mention is that we see a bunch of these videos at the start and then Milhouse and co give you the unedited versions and what happened behind. And I did like going back to Homer trying to fucking scratch and at it and then being like, I'm going to get the hammer. No getting the hammer. You never let me get the hammer.
You have to tap it.
But there's a line there about the pressure to create more content. I thought that was interesting and also kind of it was sort of the theme, but not really present enough to be a theme. Oh yeah, the Lenny and Carl situation, it's a little too lampshaded where it has a runtime of 3 hours 54. You know, the cursor goes down in circles and it's like, yeah, no, I get it, thank you.
Yeah.
But I do like
and they're talking about peanuts, peanut diet.
The crazy cat lady, we don't get a lot, but she just says like and subscribe. I was like, that got me for some reason. I don't know.
Actually, I liked this ending bit where, like, everybody all at once, all these content creators figured out where the Simpsons Mystery Mansion is actually located, and they're all trying to get in there first to get the hot content. And it's like, no, this is my content.
That's like half a theme because there's something to be said about oversaturation, but then we don't spend enough time with that. And I just kind of found the whole, we got trapped in the panic room, whoops, just a little, sure. Instead of having
rushed.
Yeah, instead of having a plot, we had this. Cool.
I only had one more note. I do like it when actually, to bring it back to their first video, the thing that kicked it all off, I love the little detail that it wasn't as well filmed as all their subsequent videos. Like, they've all got really good production values. This one was just clearly done on, like, maybe even a flip phone. It was very blurry and pixelated. And I love that sort of, again, the formats of the episode's a real highlight for me. And that changes as their production budget ranks up. But also one of the early videos that they did, which was still like in that like blurry and slightly pixelated style, was Homer and Maggie's little tea party there. And I just love the little background detail that Santa's little helper is begging for the imaginary food.
I did. That's so cute. I like that. See, that was very Simpsons. That's so cute.
But then they undo that bit later when they're all like, no, it was just the Maggie was a puppet and it was all fake.
Oh, that was in a different one, but still, that moment was still cute. All right, it is time to rank this thing. Oh, wait, but first, Chelsea, I'm so silly. I forgot. We need to ask you the most important question.
What?
BT, take it away.
Yeah, so, Chelsea, we like to ask first
We like to spring things on people.
I know, just out of nowhere. Ching. Simply put, if you could have a sandwich named after you, what would be on that sandwich? And if that's too difficult, we can simplify that down to what's the best sandwich? But if I'm in a nice restaurant, I sit down.
A nice restaurant?
I don't tell you how.
Okay.
I'm in a place that gives me sandwiches and I order the Chelsea. What am I getting? Or the tattoos by Chels.
Okay. It's like a nice oily bread, like a focaccia, but it's simple still, because I think my main things I really love on a sandwich is pickles and crisps. So as long I need like pickles, some kind of like cheesy meat and crisps with oily bread. That's like my perfect sandwich. So you get like the smush of the oily bread and the cheese and the meat and then the crunch of the pickles and the chips.
Ooh.
And that's my sandwich.
Yeah, just to be clear here, you said cheesy meat or cheese and meat? Because this is two
what
things.
cheese and meat?
Cheese and meat, and the cheese is melted to create cheesy meat.
Okay, so is the thing overall toasted, or are we pre-melting cheese onto meat?
Pre-melting cheese onto meat. I want like fresh focaccia, yeah.
Yes.
What sort of meat, by the way?
Maybe like some kind of cured meat, like a suppressor.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, that's a good sandwich. You did very well. Some people just like are deers in headlights, and you're like, no, I got this.
I think about this a lot, actually. So this is the second time I've answered that question tonight. So
What?
No.
Who else have you been talking to?
All right, let's rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale that starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was meh, you'd give it a participant, but for positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, the episodes which define The Simpsons. The Simpsons could not exist without them. You give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Look, maybe controversial. I am giving it a silver. Oof. Look, it's right on that bronze-silver borderline for me, but like I think it's just slightly better than okay. Like I agree, story problems and joke problems are running throughout, but honestly, I really admire the format on this one, and yeah, I've said that from the top. So BT, what do you reckon?
I'm participating. I came in on a participant and I stayed there. It got a little bit higher as we went through and talked about some things, but ultimately I don't really want to watch this one again. And we said anything with a medal rank should usually be something you want to see again. I just feel like, the lack of story didn't give me anything to latch onto, and there were some jokes here and there that I liked. A few concepts, Patty and Selma ASMR, again, conceptually very funny. but I just keep coming back to the idea that if we'd watched this chronologically unfold, it would have been a more rewarding episode.
And Chelsea, what would you like to rank it?
Yeah, I think I was going to say bronze, but since you said that point about wanting to watch it again for a medal, what's the one under that? Meh?
Participant, but don't let the crap I say influence your mind.
Well, it did a little bit.
Follow your heart.
Because I was thinking, it makes me a bit nervous. This is my first episode, or maybe second episode I've watched that has come out in the last 5 years. And I thought it was like an episode, but if you're saying that there are worse episodes than this, I'm like, oh shit, that makes me a bit nervous.
Yeah.
So yeah, for somebody who thinks of The Simpsons in this maybe rose tinted glasses kind of aspect, I'll give it a bronze. It wasn't horrible, but I don't have the what's what I'm looking for? Cut this out. I don't have the vocabulary. The context for the newer episodes. So yeah.
No, I mean that's kind of it for me. It just feels like it's trying a little bit harder. Okay. I think that's sort of
Do you think there's some lazier episodes?
Definitely.
Oh my god, yes. This is coherent.
Oh my god, I'm curious now. I've got to go back, yeah.
Well, there is a very easy to read spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com in which you can look at every episode and their individual rankings.
That's it. And we'd love to have you back again. And I'll show you some
I would love to be back.
Truly awful shit.
No,
you heard
please.
A kicker in the hole. Into the pit of failure.
No, because that's it. I mean, and especially lately now that we've caught up on the first 20 years basically, so we're only reviewing newer ones. I thought I'd start you off easy, and not a lot of people get that privilege. It's been quite woeful. But I mean, having said that, there's this sort of thing online where Simpsons are back and they're making episodes that are good again, and I feel like they're trying harder, but it doesn't. It's when we're far from the glory days.
It shouldn't be Simpsons are back. It should be Simpsons are trying.
Yeah, exactly.
You look there, at least they're trying. That is something, and I do want to say that much.
But you mentioned when we caught up before the stream the other week that you'd seen the recent Treehouse of Horror with the Death Note parody?
Yeah, I watched the Death Note, the episode, because I'm a big Death Note fan. Cringe, red flag, I know. But and I really enjoyed it. But I don't know if I just really enjoyed it because it hit a niche of mine, but I thought it was very funny, and
I've seen it and I thought it was very weak.
Well, I liked it. I also liked the, not to speak about a different episode, but the segment after that about Simpsons World. Is that what comes after the Death Note in that trilogy?
I can't remember. I still haven't seen this one.
I liked it. I would give that one. Oh, maybe I'll hold my tongue. Maybe a silver.
But Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you.
And once again, where can people find you online?
At Tattoos by Chels on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok. And that's it. I'm a bit of a hermit. I'm slowly tiptoeing my way into a more community-driven space. So thank you for helping me achieve that by being here today.
Absolutely. And once again, catch us streaming our Call of Cthulhu game at twitch.tv/DreadedGM. All links to all your stuff and this stuff will be in the show notes if you didn't write that down in time. And
you get to see Elliot in a top hat.
It's great. It's a bowler's hat, so is it, or is it a top hat?
It's actually kind of somewhere in between.
I don't know my hats. It's a toilet hat.
It's
Elliot's toilet hat.
Hey, nice.
Call back.
Speaking of links to other stuff, BT, where can they hear more of us if they'd like to?
We've given George R.R. Martin a hard time today, but if you want to listen to some quality Game of Thrones content, you can listen to Thrones of Game, our other podcast, where we have reviewed the entirety of Game of Thrones, but in reverse order, because Elliot had never seen it, and we thought that would be funny.
Sorry, just to jump in there, someone asked if we're planning on doing House of the Dragon and if we can review it normal style, and I'm like, that's not our style.
No.
Yeah, wait until 2030.
You should call it, there's a dragon in the
house. Yeah, for hangers on, we can, I guess, somewhat reveal the current plan is to watch it backwards when neither of us have seen it.
Yeah.
So we have to wait for it to end.
2030, Dragon the of House coming.
I'm still pushing for Dragon of the House because I think that's funny, and that comes with a theme song. Dragon of the House, burning all the stuff.
That's great.
But what about if they really like us?
They really like, oh my. They can go to patreon.com/SideQuest Studios, which is the blanket for everything we do. Not just Simpsons Index, not just Pulp Fury Radio and Dragon of the House, or Thrones of Game, as I should have said. You can go there, and for as little as $5, you can get over 100 exclusive podcasts. That's right, 100 plus. Actually, significantly plus by now. It's like 120, 130.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, we're releasing a bonus podcast over there every week, giving you lots of bang for your buck. Mm-hmm. And also, one of the Patreon perks is that you get to select a movie for us to review on our exclusive podcast starring Springfield, where we review movies starring the cast of The Simpsons. And
yes, but like in person and stuff.
Yeah, so go check that out, patreon.com/SideQuest Studios. But for now, that's the end of the Simpsons Index. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you, BT.
Like, subscribe, and smash that bell.
And I've been your host, Elliot J. O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Smash that mustard. Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can also check out our other shows, like Pulp Fury Radio, our scripted fiction podcast, which tells all original stories across a range of pulp genres, and Thrones of Game, where we review Game of Thrones in reverse order. Links to those podcasts and more will be available in the show notes. Now, there's no bonus scenes for this episode, so we'll catch you next week.